Ever wondered how a single city became the cradle of the Renaissance, the banking capital of Europe, and home to geniuses like Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo? This is the story of the Republic of Florence, a city-state that, for over 400 years, punched far above its weight, shaping the course of Western civilization. From its fiery birth in 1115, rebelling against its overlords, to its glittering zenith, and eventual transformation into a duchy, Florence was a cauldron of artistic genius, political intrigue, and financial innovation. Our story begins in the 12th century. Florence starts as a scrappy commune, fighting for its independence. Trade flourishes, the population booms, and stunning cathedrals and palaces begin to rise. But this early prosperity is drenched in blood. The city is torn apart by a brutal civil war between two factions, the Guelphs, who back the Pope, and the Ghibellines, who supported the Holy Roman Emperor. The streets of Florence became a battlefield, with noble families building fortified towers and clashing for control. Yet, amidst this chaos, a financial revolution was brewing. In 1252, Florence minted the florin, a pure gold coin that quickly became the euro or the dollar of its day, the preferred currency for international trade across Europe. This economic might laid the foundation for everything that was to come. By the dawn of the 14th century, Florence was Europe's undisputed banking center. But disaster struck. A massive fire, sparked by the endless factional fighting, destroyed nearly 2,000 buildings. Then, in 1340, the city's leading banking families, the Bardi and Peruzzi, went spectacularly bankrupt, sending shockwaves through the European economy. Just a few years later, the Black Death swept through, wiping out a huge portion of the population. It seemed as though Florence was on its knees. But even in its darkest hour, the city's spirit endured. This was the era of Dante, Petrarch, and Boccaccio, literary giants who chose to write in their native Tuscan dialect instead of Latin, effectively creating the modern Italian language. Florence proved that even in times of crisis, culture could not only survive but thrive. The 15th century arrives, and with it, a name that will become synonymous with Florence itself: Medici. This family of bankers didn't seize power through military conquest. Instead, they used their immense wealth and political savvy to rule from behind the scenes. It all started with Cosimo de' Medici in 1434. Exiled by his rivals, he returned a year later to popular acclaim and became the de facto ruler of the city. Cosimo was more than a politician, he was a visionary. He poured his fortune into art and scholarship, funding artists like Donatello and the architect Brunelleschi, who would build the magnificent dome of Florence's cathedral. He transformed Florence into the epicenter of the Renaissance, a glittering hub of humanism and artistic revolution. Cosimo's legacy was cemented by his grandson, Lorenzo, a man so influential he would be known to history as the Magnificent. Lorenzo was the ultimate Renaissance patron. He nurtured the talents of a young Michelangelo, supported Leonardo da Vinci, and commissioned Botticelli. Under his watch, Florence was the undisputed cultural capital of the world. But his rule wasn't without peril. In 1478, during Mass in the cathedral, assassins from the rival Pazzi family, backed by the Pope himself, attacked Lorenzo and his brother. His brother, Giuliano, was killed, but Lorenzo, wounded, managed to fight his way to safety. This event, the Pazzi conspiracy, triggered a war with the papacy. Yet Lorenzo's brilliant diplomacy saved the city, further securing his power. He was, as one contemporary noted, king in all but name. After Lorenzo the Magnificent's death, the Medici's grip on power faltered. His son, Piero, was weak and ineptly surrendered to an invading French army, leading to his exile. Into this power vacuum stepped one of history's most fascinating figures, Girolamo Savonarola. He was a charismatic, fire and brimstone Dominican friar who captivated the city. He preached against corruption and vanity. He took control of Florence, attempting to turn it into a puritanical city of God. He's most famous for his bonfires of the vanities, where Florentines were persuaded to burn their worldly possessions, wigs, makeup, fine clothes, and pagan books and art. For a time, Florence traded its Renaissance glamour for religious zeal. But Savonarola's reign was short-lived. His radicalism made powerful enemies, including the Pope, and when a failed war led to famine, the people turned against him. In 1498, he was executed in the very same public square where his bonfires had burned. The Medici returned, but the Republic was living on borrowed time. After another brief expulsion, the Medici made a fateful pact. Pope Clement VII, himself a Medici, struck a deal with the Holy Roman Emperor Charles V. In exchange for the Pope's blessing, the emperor's armies would restore the Medici to power for good. What followed was the heroic last stand of the Florentine Republic, the Siege of Florence. For 11 grueling months, the city held out against the might of the imperial army. Michelangelo himself returned to his home city to oversee its fortifications. But the cause was hopeless. In 1531, Florence surrendered. The emperor appointed Alessandro de' Medici as the first Duke of the Florentine Republic, and just like that, the Republic was no more. It was now a hereditary monarchy. Alessandro's successor, Cosimo Escher de' Medici, was a ruthless and brilliant administrator. He centralized power, crushed his rivals, and expanded Florentine territory, conquering the rival Republic of Siena. The final act came in 1569. The Pope elevated Cosimo I to the title of Grand Duke of Tuscany. This officially marked the end of the Florentine Republic and the beginning of a new era, the Grand Duchy of Tuscany, which the Medici family would rule for the next 200 years. The Republic, born from a popular revolt, had died and been reborn as a monarchy. And so the incredible story of the Republic of Florence comes to a close. For 4 centuries, it was a city of fierce contradictions, a place of democratic ideals and oligarchic rule, of brutal violence and sublime beauty, of financial collapse and unparalleled artistic creation. It was a city that gave us the Florin, the Renaissance, and some of the greatest art the world has ever known. Its legacy isn't just carved in stone and painted on canvas, it's woven into the very fabric of our modern world. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into the heart of the Renaissance, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel for more stories from history. We'd love to have you with us. See you in the next video.